All right, updates on what's going on in trucking with United States Congress, the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee hearings. We got the 287 agreement that's going on in Wyoming and Florida. We also have a bunch of talk about eliminating DEF and after treatment on trucks. Welcome to Second Cup with Bob. I'm your host, Bob. Right now there are hearings of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. If you don't know what that is, every 5 years the United States Congress puts together an act. It's called the Surface Transportation Reauthorization Act. That's where they give all the money to planes, trains, ships, and trucks. That's where they get all that money every 5 years. Congress, out of the 535 members, there's 26 of them. They're on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and they listen to like OOIDA or ATRI or the ATA, and they have these hearings. Congress needs to have data from the hearings. And in these acts that they do every 5 years, they also add things like the MAP 21. That's how we ended up with ELD. They put that in a surface transportation bill. Surface Transportation Reauthorization Act. Sometimes I call it bill, but that's what it's actually called. Anyway, so they have hearings about that. They've totally, makes me kind of mad. Louis Pugh from OOIDA, the representation for the owner-operators, they totally dismissed and overran. They disrespected them. That's what they did. And I mean, I can say what I want about OOIDA. I'm a trucker. I get mad. But when the United States Congress is disrespecting the people that are there representing me, it makes me mad. That bothers me. And the ATA just ran over him. Every time he answered or tried to answer a question, either congressman or the ATA, the American Trucking Associations, every time Louis Pugh would try to talk from OOIDA, they just bulldozed him. So the ATA is still preaching driver shortage to our Congress, and Congress is listening. And why is that? Because the ATA donates a ton of money to the United States Congress, not directly. So Congress needs data to make a rule. Our Congress says, you know what, I can make a law, we can make a law, but we need data. So they gather data from independent studies, so what they're called. And there's a lot of groups out there, but ironically, our Congress uses the ATA and ATRI. The ATA owns ATRI. ATRI, whatever, ATRI, they do independent trucking safety studies. On that board of directors is Warner, Prime, UPS, Cummins, Boyle Trucking, Pepsi Cola. That is the chairman, the board members of ATRI. So when they do independent studies, they get our tax dollars. Our tax dollars goes to ATRI to do these studies. With those people, the independent study, the Warner and Prime, they get our tax dollars to do independent studies. They're owned by the American Trucking Association, which there's 50 of them. There's 50 of those. There's 50 chapters of the ATA. There's one in every single state. So, see how that goes? And then they give the money to ATRI. ATRI gives the money to the ATA. The ATA gives to the campaigns of the 26 members of Congress. So that's what's going on. The hearings for the Surface Transportation Reauthorization Act are happening right now. We also have this agreement called the 287 agreement. Right now I got to give props to Wyoming. Wyoming has put, I believe, 60 trucks out of service for English proficiency. They are ahead of everyone else. Wyoming also has the smallest ATA influence. There's no mega carriers in Wyoming, but they put, I believe, 60 trucks out of service in Wyoming for English proficiency. But this 287 agreement. Wyoming has agreed to it and Florida has agreed to it. And what that is our police, our state police, local police, no police are allowed to ask for immigration documentation. So this 287 agreement gives them authority, gives the state police authority to check for immigration documentation. And I was talking to guys at American Truckers United, and they were like, why can't we call our congressman and ask our congressman to have the DOT join forces with ICE and be allowed to check for immigration documentation in a truck? I think it's a fantastic idea. There's a ton of unqualified people that are on expired visas. We know they're expired. They came here during COVID. They got a bunch of grants and loans that they aren't paying back. They don't speak and read and write English, and they aren't paying the money back. They have multiple trucks but only have insurance for one, and then they make copies of the insurance for their trailers. The list goes on and on. Multiple MC numbers. It's insanity, the amount of corruption that's happening and that's allowed. But if we could allow the state police, the DOT, when you pull into a scale, to ask for immigration documentation, that would be fantastic. That would eliminate a lot of problems. So call your congressman. Right now, Wyoming and Florida are on board. State police are allowed to check for immigration documentation. It just hasn't made it over to the DOT. So I'm thinking Oklahoma. Oklahoma would probably be the next place to go to make sure to see if the DOT and state police can join the 287 agreement. Anyway, that's as far as the your DEF, that's never going away. What you will probably be allowed to do is you'll probably be allowed to delete your engine, but they're never going to start making, not as far as I can tell. There's rule proposals. People are believing that they're eliminating the DEF. They're not. There's a rule proposal in place, and all that's going to do is basically allow you to delete the engine that you have right now legally, but manufacturers are still going to be required to put after treatment systems on commercial trucks as of right now. So don't get excited. I was a little excited too, but anyway, have a good day.